pass from Havili was magic. The shift on for Crotty. Boom, far down you go, Quackett Smith. Me, oh my, I have enjoyed that. Yes, boy.
Sit back, relax, put your belt on, enjoy the show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Draft Rugby Show, where we discuss fantasy rugby, the game they play online in heaven. Evidently, I still haven't taken the soundbite from Nick McArdle to make it sound far better than when I introduce us. Nelson, welcome to the Draft Rugby Show for another show. This is our third in, 10 days or something like that now? How are you going?
Yeah, this is fatiguing. It's definitely tougher than it is for the Wallabies.
That's enough out of you. And Cargie, are you going to complain less?
Definitely, but I think we needed to get rest days. You know, the Wallabies didn't. We needed some, so there you go.
For those watching on YouTube, you can see that Nelson is very literally fading away. I can barely see him through his camera tonight. Anyway, guys, before we get on to, obviously, the topic at hand, the French and Australia series, or Wallabies series, let's quickly talk about the Springbok A defeating, or the Springbok, what do we decide, Nels? What are we going to call them?
I don't know. Springbok A+, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Or the Springbok A adjacent. I think was the other one.
That's the one.
Just the Springbok adjacent, I think, is good. Yeah.
Credit to whoever that was on Twitter. And they defeated the Lions overnight. So that was a good game I put on at the clinic this morning to watch. I thought it was fantastic. They were up by a fair bit at one point, and I was hoping they just blew them out of the water. It would have been just so sweet. But the problem with this is I like both the lots of players, but both teams, their fans are so arrogant. If they could both lose, it would probably be for the best.
Oh my gosh, they are.
The only takeout from that is Cheslin Colby, mate. Just how good is he? He's unbelievable.
He is just absolutely amazing.
And guys, we got some treats tonight as well. We got some more slides, obviously, which we've been working away on. We got some good graphics, and the dessert song is all time. Nelson's had a brilliant idea, so we'll splice that together
mate,
as well.
Spoilers, come on, mate.
I didn't say what it was.
Teasers, spoilers, all right. You got to listen on until then.
Without further ado. For the entree, we're going to review, obviously, game 2. So the results went 26-28 for the French. I think we all probably know that now. So if we run through the tips, Cargie, why don't you start us off, mate? How'd you go?
Look, both weeks I tipped the Wallabies to win by 14 points. I might have brought the scores down a little bit from the first week. I had the Wallabies at 28 and the French at 14. Like last week, 28 was correct, just on the wrong team. But I don't know. Do I get points for nailing one of the scores correct or not really?
Yeah, we're the right side, mate. You get nothing. And Nelson?
Look, I said the Wallabies going to win by 10, so I was the closest.
But you did go over, so don't win. And I went the French by 2, I think.
No, mate. You're the worst.
Right,
I went Wallabies by 16. I thought they were going to blow it out. And look, the French, credit to them, were a lot better. So let's get stuck into the game on that point. First of all, why don't we get into the best players, or who we thought were the key players? So for Australia, we had for the man of the match, is he the man of the match because we lost? No, the Australian man of the match. Marika Cotton-Betty.
Oh, mate, we can give the man of the match anyway, mate. We can keep our gold glasses on. That's fine.
Yeah, that's right. So we got some of his stats up on screen now. He had 15 runs for 182 meters, 7 tackle busts, 2 line breaks, 2 disallowed tries that I'm going to say were tries, and another try on top of that he actually scored, and 100% tackle success. Did not miss one from his one tackle.
Mate, that's what you want from a winger, isn't it? You know what I mean? You got to take all the opportunities, even the ones that then get disallowed. But look, even though it was only one from one tackle, 100%, mate, made him stick. You know what I mean? So, no, how good was he, though? Seriously, we're talking about his wrists were getting sore. He took a knock to the wrist during the game. Mate, it looked like his shoulders and back were getting sore because he bloody packed the rest of the team up into his backpack, put them on his shoulders, and was the only guy getting anything done in the whole Wallabies team, as far as I'm concerned. God, he had a good game.
Well, we thought he may have seriously hurt his wrist, and then next minute he's catching the ball off a high ball, and you're sitting there going, oh no, this can't be good. And then he's just running directly into traffic. It didn't bother him at all. And then the next shot we see of him, he's limping. Like he had hurt something in his leg as well. And we still decided to take our other winger off and leave on Corabetti, who had 2 injuries and now we're starting him 4 days later.
That's it.
Yeah.
They thought. Look, we'd rather have half a Marika Korobedi than one fully functional Tom Wright. The way they were playing in that game, but look, boys, you're both health professionals. Clearly, it's all solved by just a bit of the magic spray and just tape over the tape already there, right? The wrist, they just went bit of a spray, another 3 layers of tape, you're good to go, son. That's science right there, isn't it?
Mate, you're missing the clear Fijian, we'll say Fijian Australian mate cure. He went home and had kava. He just had bucket loads of kava and it's fixed everything.
Mate, he was having kava during the game. It was kava eating them up during the game. Some of those runs, mate, like 182 meters. I mean, just damn.
This was just one of the most entertaining games with him in attack, I think, for a long time. He normally runs 182 meters, but a good half of those are sideways. And this time it was all forwards. It was amazing.
Look, the other one that I love from that game, or actually from the first 2 games now, is Stan Sport have recognised how good he was. And they've literally made a video clip on Stan now you can go and watch, which is the Marika Korobedi highlights from game 1 and 2. No other player has been good enough to have his own highlights reel. And it's like 3 minutes 40 long. Like, it's not short. It's ridiculous.
Mate, the team doesn't even have highlights. There's not even a Wallabies highlights from the first 2 games. It's just the Korobedi highlights, really.
Yeah, that is the team highlights, yeah.
Yeah.
He was pretty good. But look, all right, moving on to the French then. We could almost give him the man of the match, but definitely...
You could definitely give him the man of the match.
We're doing man of the match. All right. But certainly the best from Les Bleus, Cameron Wallabies, donning the number 7 jersey. He was unbelievable. So he came off the bench last week. Certainly a promising youngster. And mate, he had an absolute, I mean, he wasn't the captain, but it was a captain's knock. His work rate.
He played well, yeah. We know what you're saying, mate. He played well. Well done.
Mate, work rate. He made 14 of 15 tackles. He made 13 runs for 62 meters, and that was the hard graph there. 2 tackle busts, 2 line breaks, 4 offloads, a try assist, and he was an absolute pest in the line out all night. Bagged himself. I was surprised he only got 1 line out steal, actually, according to the stats. But man, he was just he was a rash you couldn't get rid of. You know what I mean? He was in everything. So, what did you guys make of Wallabies?
Look, he's concerning that he's starting again this match coming because he was in absolutely everything. They have a lot of depth in the back row. And Cameron Wallabies, 22 years old, he is an exciting player to watch for them. But they do have lots and lots of depth in those back 3 forwards.
I was talking up how much I was looking forward to seeing Sekou Makulu.
Makulu, yeah.
Sekou Makulu before the test series, just because from what I've seen of him, he's unbelievable. And Wallabies, earning himself the start again in the 3rd test based on that man of the match performance last week. So huge, and would have preferred it to be someone else.
And another team showing that you don't actually need an open side flanker these days, eh?
That's it. Sorry, Nels, mate. Your position's a
I've got a theory, actually. I have got a theory on that.
I've got something there too.
Yeah, cool.
Sure you do, Nels.
Yeah. I'm convinced that the way that rucks are defended, are refereed these days, if you're on the defensive side, you can do whatever you want. As long as you put your hands somewhere near the ball, your team gets a penalty. You don't actually need to be good at pilfering anymore.
Legitimately, I agree. France clearly had the theory that if you're 1 to 15 or 1 to 23, just try to pilfer the ball at almost every opportunity. It doesn't matter if you're the 2nd player in, the 3rd player in, you're lying on the ground. As long as you go for the ball, it is good. That's all they need.
Yeah.
Look, the super sub. We haven't called him in the first game, but I thought it needed a mention this week because the super sub was so damn good. Yeah. Aman Taofafanua, I thought was an absolute beast off the bench. He was just absolutely everywhere, super physical in attack and defense. I don't think I got to see quite as much from him in that first game. Don't get me wrong, he was still a physical presence, but man, he was immense. He was Taniela Tupou-esque off the bench this week with the impact that he had.
I definitely wouldn't go that far, but look, I would.
No, I back that, mate. He was huge.
let's be honest, he made 4 carries and 5 tackles,
And
missing
you
one.
can read the stats line all you want. Go watch the game. He was a beast.
Yeah, that's fine. He was very good. But look at Taniela Tupou's stats off the bench. Line breaks, bumping tackles left, right, and centre. Like, it is different. But he was very impactful, both sides of the ball coming in that game. And he's earned himself a start again this week.
No, he was excellent. And I agree. I think, I'm starting to believe that some players are just better impact players. I think gone are the days of pick your best 15 players to start on in the start of the field. And there are some players that they're just better coming off. That impact they make in the last 30 is huge.
It should not be a new theory. Like, I mean, I know we've talked about it for years. Certain players are good coming off the bench, and certain players, they start or they're not in your 23. Simple as that. You don't bring certain players off the bench. It doesn't make sense. So
let's round out, guys. Let's push on. We'll round out the other players of note. Is there anyone else you guys want to mention?
Yeah, look, just I was going to say, just Jaminay, the fullback. I thought he was really great. Nelson, sorry, you've got his stats there.
Yeah, mate, he got 23 points, a massive one from him, like a really, really good game, 100% from the tee. That's 8 from 8, and 7 of those were penalty goals. That is big. That's the
long ones as well.
The decider, yeah, and that final kick, a long kick as well to win it from him. Also, he just had a good all-round game. 6 runs for 58 metres. That special stat, 10 metres a run, 3 tackle busts and a line break. He looked really good.
Yeah, fantastic. And we'll push on to the game, guys. I thought the Wallabies talked about the fact that they needed an early start, a good, strong start after they went down by 15 points in game 1 early. And they almost got that perfect start with Marika Conombetti. We thought going in for a try. At the time, I kind of thought that everything was going against us, every little call, and I was starting to get really frustrated again. And then Tom Wright absolutely drops the sitter, and it was ridiculous that it never got called in the first place, to be honest. It was quite clearly a knock on. And then when it didn't get called, I thought, here we go. Everything's turning up Millhouse. 1 phase later, I think there was a ruck, and then we ran a long distance, and Marika Conombetti scores. And of course, TMO check, takes it back and takes it off the Wallabies. And it was just it was that moment when we went, it was too good to be true. I think Nelson had $20 on him at first try score. He was going hard. He was pretty confident. And so Nelson celebrated, then sat right back down. That was a big moment to just take the wind out of our sails.
Yeah, look, that was brilliant from Corbett. He created his own space and ran a large chunk of that field all by himself. Didn't need to look for anyone else. It was pretty special for him, and it really is just disappointing that Tom Wright's basic hands, letting the ball bounce. I'm pretty sure he did as well on other occasions as well. And he just really didn't do a clinch simple thing that he needed to do. On first glance, I thought maybe it was forward, but then it looked like it came off his upper arm, maybe not his forearm or lower arm. But then, after numerous reviews, it was just clear that it was too shite to let that try happen.
Yeah, and I think, look, it was important. Was it only 1 phase? I think that was when it's so far back up the field, you start thinking, does it matter how many phases it was? Because it was something like 60 or 70 odd meters.
I think you're only allowed 2 phases. I'm pretty sure you can go back 2 phases.
Exactly. I think, look, at the end of the day, I think you hit it bang on the head, Harry, in that, it was a pretty blatant knock on, and, we're all happy for that to have been called. It's just
not happy.
It's frustrating when it was called so late, after such good play. But my favorite thing about Corabetta's run there was just, mate, he's like NASCAR. He gets up on, when the road's starting to get up on an angle, he stays at such pace on such angles when he cuts back across the field. It's like no one can stay with him in that. It's just unbelievable. So he was that was amazing for mine.
Yeah, in the meantime as well, Jaminay had kicked a couple of penalties, so they did start to accumulate pressure against us in the meantime, and they actually got out to, I think it was 6-3 lead. I think it was at the time still at 6-3, wasn't it, guys, where we had our second try disallowed. Marika Conombetti again disallowed. They called a cutout from Matty Tamur, who I thought had a lot better game as well, but they called it forwards. And I'll be honest, I watched that one again before the show, and I'm still not 100% convinced it's the right call. Don't get me wrong, it's a line ball, but it seems to be one of those ones where people look at the line, Timo looks at the line on the field and goes, well, it's quite clearly gone forwards towards that line, therefore we'll call it forwards. The review, they looked never at the kind of the wide angle where you can get a better idea of which way his hands are going. They looked at this like weird front on camera view from memory, and then said, "Yep, hands definitely went forward." And they called it really quickly. I don't understand where the concept of momentum has disappeared from the TMOs when they throw these passes.
But the weird thing is that, like, it doesn't seem to do it on other occasions. There were numerous occasions, in these last two tests that I think could have gone against the French, where they've clearly, the ball's gone forward and they've let it play because of momentum. But this was one that they didn't even consider it. And to me, it was a little bit odd. I think, if it was, if there was no penalty back up for the Wallabies to go back to, does that change something as well? It just seems like they're going, oh, well, it wasn't a try, but they're still down here, borderline. Let's lean that way. But I think it was pretty rough.
And I think, look, talking momentum, I think we touched on rounding out the point of the Wallabies trying to get off to a fast start. The Wallabies are a huge momentum-based team, and just having 2 disallowed tries in that first, 20, 25 minutes, just really slowed us down for the rest of the game. Having those 2 tries, that scoreboard pressure, would have just made the world of difference for us moving forward and just a balance in the game. So,
not to mention the French went and scored one of their own fantastic tries to Cargie's favourite.
They got Peno involved. And that was a pretty brilliant try. So
yeah, look, it's one of those ones for us. It seems to be common in these last couple of weeks. There's some people coming out and saying we've only scored 2 tries maximum, while in these last 2 years for the Wallabies in any match. But we created those opportunities. We just couldn't finish them off. That was great vision by Tuamua to throw that ball wide. And it was quite rushed, but it just wasn't perfectly executed. We are not far away in those opportunities. That scoreboard changes and everything else in that game changes. So I think there's a lot going forward that can be liked. But look, I think the dark arts, we touched on it. France have clearly realised you can do whatever you want in the rucks. So I don't understand for Australia why we are not reacting and doing the same thing. Early on in that game, I think we put some good phases together, blew straight over the ruck, had some good quick ball. And then all it took was us to get a little bit isolated. France pushed the boundaries every single time and got away with it, which for me is something that's very smart. If the referee is not calling that stuff, you're dumb not to do it. Michael Hooper got 1 pill for himself. That was pretty suspect. So I think hands on the floor. But I don't know. I don't think we're using that enough, which seems poor for mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and speaking more positively about some of the good work that the Wallabies did, how about the role reversal from Taniela Tupou going to halfback to throw a cutout to Jake Gordon? It probably was a little bit of a harbour bridge, if we're being completely honest. But nevertheless, threw the cutout to Jake Gordon, who then scores the Wallabies try as well. I think
who just looked up in disbelief, didn't he? He was like, did that just happen?
Yeah. Where did that come from? 38 minutes, and that got us back in the game coming into halftime as well, right?
We needed that. Definitely needed that before halftime. It just sort of kicked us into gear a little bit. I think the last 2 matches, we've scored just before halftime to sort of keep us alive in the game when we've been down. So it was very important for us.
Yep. And look, ultimately, I think for mine, probably the biggest moment of the match, undoubtedly, was that final scrum where France got a penalty to then kick the goal to go in front with about a minute to go and close out the game. Penalty on about the 40-metre line from the Wallabies 40-metre line, and Demba Bamba and Tafifanuna. Oh Jesus, did not.
Oh.
Yeah. Who came on off the bench? The super subs, the bomb squad, mate. They were geared up for that scrum, and they clearly wanted it more. They just went straight through Bell and Darcy Swain like a hot knife through butter, mate. It was huge. And don't get me wrong, that's a pretty formidable couple of blokes to be pushing against, but very well-deserved scrum penalty. And the boys are going to have to step up for that one. I can't wait for the spoiler of the team list, but Tupou and Demba Bamba coming off the bench this week, so that's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, should be good to see.
And look, I think the last point to talk about in this one was, did we improve in this one? I think we have. Speaking after the game with our footy group in our chat group, there was some differing opinions for sure. I think Harry and I were perhaps a little less optimistic than Nelson and some other talking heads or some other people who were wrong. But no, look, for mine, what concerned me about that game was there were times when I think we looked the most clueless we have looked in a while. So not just the first game, but even last year. There was a few times when it looked like, specifically, I'm talking about the back line here, just didn't have a clue of what to do, particularly Noah Lolesio and Wright and a few of the guys. They just didn't have the faintest idea. And for mine, it's when in doubt, just run it straight and hard. And, you just got to get some momentum. But it was that it seemed like they kept running to a brick wall and they didn't have answers. And things like, I got really frustrated. They did a box kick. We're on the French 40-meter line and we did an up and under, a box kick. Now, look, I understand there's tactical kicking when you are in the other half. So if you're in between the 50 and the 40, you might want to kick in behind and put it into the corner. But when you're on the 40-meter line, for mine, you're attacking at all costs unless you're going to do one of those tactical kicks. But a box kick, they were out of options.
I think one thing on that for me was I think we put more phases together in this match. There were some real positives with that. But I think we did look a little clueless at times when we weren't making those meters. I think it was the same last week. I don't think there was any difference there. I think the main thing that was separate and different this week was we didn't have that short kicking game. When things weren't working, we have a rush defense up. Let's put a little kick in. We just didn't seem to utilize it this week. Paisami's opportunities that he took last week weren't really utilized this week.
Yeah, look, I agree. And it's such a hard one to go and actually judge what went wrong in this game because I agree with Cargie in that it looked like how our team worked together was the real issue. Because if you go across that back line, in terms of their impact on the game, I think largely you could probably say everyone improved with the exception of maybe Tom Wright, who again didn't have his best game. But I think everybody else across the board played a lot better and our backs were definitely the weak point last week. To me, I agree. I just think the issue was that there was no direction. They had 3 really nice kicks where they put an attacking kick in. The back 3 from the French had no idea. And we got some really good field position and we started to exert a little bit of pressure. But for the most part, we just looked like we wanted to fling it around. And I thought Tamua brought a lot of direction despite, still copping a lot of criticism. But Noah Lolesio, some fantastic skills, great kick under pressure, but he's just not organising the team at this stage. And I'm hoping that by Dave Rennie sticking with him, that combination starts to grow and we start to see that improve.
I think you're right. Just in rounding that out for mine, not having Nick White or James O'Connor there, just the huge impact that was making. But it was as if, and Nelson talked up the French defensive coach last week, or the last pod. It was as if they had all the answers. The rushing up out wide, but also just it's like they knew where all our big ball carriers were running. The inside pass play wasn't working all the time. So it's like we just didn't have the answers on every front. In the backs, even the forwards like Valentini, Wilson, they weren't getting good carries. We weren't getting any forward momentum. And it just felt like they couldn't adapt or change their game plan on the fly is how I felt.
Yeah, look, I think another thing for us in that first match was the set piece. If things weren't going well for us, we could back our set piece. And in this one, that's something the French side really started to improve on. We won 7 of 10 lineouts. When I think we were the clear dominant lineout team last week with a few steals as well. This week, sure, we still got 2 steals from their 8, but still they were the more dominant side there. And apparently we only won 2 of 3 of our scrums, which I feel like surely there were more scrums than that. That major one right at the end, and surely there were some more opportunities early on. But our set piece wasn't something we could rely on. We didn't do anything to stop that rush defense.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely some areas to improve there. And I think the Wallabies just need to continue to work out how to actually capitalise on the way they play. Round 1, the set piece so good. Round 2, phase play so much better. We dominated the meters and defenders beaten, as you can see on screen, but we're just not putting the points on the board. And I guess the solutions, Nelson and Cargie, I'm going to say you two, not myself, are going to give all the solutions in the main course. So why don't we push on to reviewing next week's game?